A man returns home from a business trip, planning to surprise his girlfriend, only to find 2 pairs of shoes at the door and a table set for 2 with steaming tea. Realizing the worst, he bursts into the bedroom, catching her in the act. Instead of showing guilt, his girlfriend calmly breaks up with him, saying she wants to marry someone who loves her, not someone she loves. This excuse feels like a slap in the face, but Jae-hoon has no choice but to accept it. They had been together for years, even booking a wedding venue. Invitations had gone out to family and friends, but now he's blindsided by betrayal. Heartbroken, Jae-hoon spirals into a pit of despair, drowning himself in alcohol. His boss, noticing his decline, assigns a new female employee to work under him, jokingly trying to set them up. However, Jae-hoon responds coldly, having already formed a negative impression of this woman, Sunyong, after witnessing her in a heated argument with another man, who accused her of cheating. On her first day, Jae-hoon gives Sunyong an exhausting task. Perhaps because of his recent breakup, he can't help but vent to her.
남자친구 다시 만날 생각은 없고 오해가 있는 걸 수도 있고.
But what he sees isn't the full story. Sunyong's breakup was due to her boyfriend's infidelity, and his continued harassment left her with no choice but to end things. When Sunyong returned home to find her apartment trashed by her ex, she confronted him, only for him to lash out viciously. One sharp comment from Sunyong, however, shattered him on the spot.
너 자지 존나 작아. 네 엄지발가락이 더 크겠더라.
Sunyong heard from colleagues about Jae-hoon's broken engagement and developed a strong dislike for this cold, heavy drinking man. But fate had other plans, and by some strange twist of destiny, their paths crossed again in an unexpected way. After waking up from yet another blackout, Jae-hoon arrives at work and discovers that he made a call to an unknown number the night before, a call that lasted over 2 hours. Unable to remember anything, his friend offers to trace it, accidentally dialing the number. Just as the call connects, Sunyong walks in with a knowing smile, making Jae-hoon realize it was her he talked to for hours.
말씀을 하세요.
Curious if he said anything inappropriate, Jae-hoon waits at the office after hours to ask her in person, so after work, he didn't leave the office and waited until late. Just as he was anxiously about to call Sunyong, who had been on a business trip all day, she finally returned. It wasn't until Sunyong finished packing up and was about to leave that Jae-hoon, hesitant and awkward, finally spoke up. At that moment, a drunken colleague burst in, insisting that they all go out for another round of drinks. As the night progressed and alcohol loosened his tongue, the friend blurted out that Jae-hoon had previously accused Sunyong of cheating. This led to a heated argument between Jae-hoon and Sunyong at the bar, where she warned him to stop spreading baseless rumors at work or she would reveal that he had drunkenly called her for 2.5 hours one night. While waiting for a taxi, Sunyong told Jae-hoon that during that call, all he did was cry.
2시간을? 왜 안 끊었는데?
아무도 자기 얘기 안 들어준다고 우는데 불쌍해서.
After they managed to get the friend home, Jae-hoon stopped Sunyong before she could leave. They ended up drinking and talking about their views on relationships, even playing a silly lip-reading game, and without realizing it, they both got quite drunk. When Sunyong's friend arrived to take her home, she was so inebriated that she started rambling incoherently and even pulled Jae-hoon in for a kiss. Realizing how out of control she was, Sunyong then awkwardly kissed her friend to cover up her embarrassment. It's said that many people don't truly black out from drinking, they just use alcohol as an excuse to avoid facing things they don't want to admit. Jae-hoon and Sunyong were no exception, both pretending they couldn't remember what had happened the night before. Their boss, noticing something was off between them, intentionally left them alone and even arranged for them to go on a business trip together. At work, Jae-hoon noticed that Sunyong was barefoot because she had forgotten her slippers, so he offered her his own.
전 괜찮은.
작아, 발 아파.
Sunyong, however, kicked them back, highlighting the subtle shift in their relationship, moving from mutual annoyance to a budding, complicated affection. After work that night, Jae-hoon invited colleagues out for dinner and drinks. His colleagues, who saw him as a good person, couldn't understand why someone like him would go through such a painful betrayal. Later, Jae-hoon sent Sunyong a message saying he had something to tell her. When she arrived at the bar, it was no surprise that Jae-hoon was already heavily intoxicated. Liquid courage is a real thing. Jae-hoon found himself blurting out all the painful feelings he usually kept buried deep inside.
너 나 좋아하냐?
He opened up to Sunyong about the betrayal that had scarred him, hoping that sharing it might ease some of the pain. After hearing his story, Sunyong quietly moved closer, gently stroking his hair to comfort him. The intimacy of the moment overwhelmed Jae-hoon, and he impulsively leaned in to kiss her. but Sunyong quickly pulled away. Dazed and desperate, Jae-hoon stumbled after her, only to trip over a chair and crash to the ground. Whether she was startled by his sudden move or thought it was just a tactic, Sunyong decided to leave. The next morning, when she noticed Jae-hoon wasn't at work, she asked around and learned that he had broken his arm during the fall and had been taken to the ER in the early hours. That evening, Sunyong stayed late at the office, seemingly waiting for Jae-hoon. When he finally appeared, looking disheveled and bandaged, his demeanor had shifted dramatically. He was distant and cold, deliberately keeping his distance from her. As he tried to leave, struggling with his injured arm, he dropped something but couldn't pick it up. Seeing him in such a difficult spot, Sunyong stepped in to help. A few drinks later, they found themselves tipsy again. As they were about to part ways, Jae-hoon stopped Sunyong, bluntly asking why she was treating him this way.
내가 뭘?
나 몰래 술 버렸잖아.
The truth was, Jae-hoon had noticed that Sunyong had secretly poured out her drinks the other night, so when she kissed him, she was sober. She didn't dislike Jae-hoon, she just couldn't stand seeing him wallow in self-pity over a past relationship that wasn't worth his pain. In the early days after the breakup, Jae-hoon couldn't stop mentioning his ex-girlfriend's name, but lately, those mentions had dwindled to almost nothing. Instead, the woman he initially didn't care for at all had slowly begun to take up space in his heart. During a company hiking trip, Jae-hoon and Sunyong intentionally lingered at the back of the group. Both were aware of their growing feelings for each other, but neither dared to bring it up. However, that thin veil of unspoken emotions was soon torn apart during the evening's wild party. A very drunk Sunyong stumbled toward the middle of the road, nearly getting hit by a speeding car. Shocked, Jae-hoon quickly pulled her back to safety. In her inebriated state, Sunyong couldn't hold back and kissed Jae-hoon, igniting a passion in him that neither could control. Their kiss started on the street and continued all the way to a hotel room, where they fully gave in to their desires. The next morning, Sunyong woke up, horrified by the reckless thing she had done the night before. She wanted to leave quickly but realized her undergarments were missing. Not wanting to wake Jae-hoon, she hurriedly gathered her things and left. However, Jae-hoon was only pretending to sleep. Like Sunyong, he wasn't sure how to deal with what had just happened. As he turned over, he felt something stuck to him, evidence of their wild night together. When they saw each other at work again, the awkwardness was palpable, as if they could have dug a hole in the ground to hide in. Both claimed they were too drunk to remember anything from the night before, making small talk that was clearly forced and unnatural. Sunyong left shortly after, but Jae-hoon, unable to bear the longing any longer, ran after her. Just as he was looking around, he received a message from his ex-girlfriend. At the same time, Sunyong, at home and staring at photos from their outing, found her feelings for Jae-hoon growing stronger. She decided to call him and clear the air.
저기 난데 잠깐 통화 좀 할 수 있을까? 만날 수 있으면 더 좋고.
누구세요?
But a woman's voice answered the phone. Sunyong quickly changed her tone, pretending she was calling about work, and then hung up, bitterly laughing at her foolishness. The woman who answered was Jae-hoon's ex-girlfriend, who had taken the call while Jae-hoon was in the bathroom, even deleting the call log afterward. She had come back to try and reconcile with Jae-hoon after being hurt by another man. But given how deeply she had hurt Jae-hoon before, there was no way he would take her back. Jae-hoon packed up all the things she had left at his place, deciding once and for all to cut ties. Meanwhile, rumors about Jae-hoon and Sunyong's unusual relationship started circulating among their coworkers. A particularly gossipy colleague posted in a group chat, calling Sunyong a homewrecker, only to realize too late that the message had been sent to the company's main group chat instead. Everyone, including Sunyong, saw the message, and the office atmosphere turned uncomfortably tense. Jae-hoon, who was away on a business trip, saw the message and rushed back to give the gossiping coworkers a serious scolding. When he went to find Sunyong, she initially didn't want to meet or get further entangled with him, but she couldn't resist his persistence and agreed to go out for a drink. By this time, Jae-hoon had begun to move on from the pain of his breakup, while Sunyong found herself increasingly caught up in trouble. After a few drinks, a tipsy Jae-hoon, with nothing to lose, loudly confessed his feelings for Sunyong in front of everyone.
너 그때 포장마차에서 나한테 먼저 뽀뽀한 것도 기억나고 노래방 나가고 뽀뽀한 것도 다 기억해. 그래서 내가 키스하고 너 자취생활 오래 갖고 옆에 누가 있으면 잠 못 잔다 그래놓고 내 옆에서 코 엄청 골면서 잤다. 그때도 방귀키더라.
야!
성수동 뿌띠모텔 302호. 네가 누가 팬티 나한테 있어 검정색. 이런.
However, Sunyong didn't respond to his passionate declaration. She had misunderstood Jae-hoon's situation, thinking he was still entangled with his ex-girlfriend because of that phone call. This misunderstanding was the reason for her sudden coldness towards him. Jae-hoon, determined to prove his commitment, immediately called his ex-girlfriend in front of Sunyong to make his intentions clear. To Sunyong, this act seemed reckless and childish, but there was no denying that men often behave this way when they're in love. Sunyong decided to resign from the company, and as was customary, they held a farewell party for her. She arrived at the event dressed in a striking outfit, black stockings, high heels, and a stylish suit exuding confidence and elegance with a powerful presence. She had come to give the gossiping co-workers a piece of her mind. In the calmest tone, Sunyong confronted them.
근데 너 왜 그랬어?
네?
얘 모른 척하네. 아이고.
Leaving them speechless, she then proceeded to spill all the company's dirty secrets. You're the one messing around with a married man, right? And you, always flirting with the boss, isn't that true? The tension in the room skyrocketed as she exposed scandal after scandal, turning the restaurant into a chaotic scene of shouting and bickering. Amidst the turmoil, Sunyong and Jae-hoon exchanged a knowing smile before gracefully standing up and leaving the chaos behind. Time flew by, and months passed after Sunyong's departure. During this time, they had no contact, and their lives gradually settled into a peaceful routine. It was only after the dust had settled and the noise had faded that they both began to realize who truly mattered to them deep down. One ordinary evening, after work, a bored Jae-hoon received a message that sent him into a frenzy of excitement. It was from Sunyong. Without hesitation, he rushed to meet her. The late autumn wind felt warm on his face, as if the familiar place and the long-missed person had brought warmth to the evening. After all this time, they were finally about to see each other again. It's been a while. How have you been?